I was one of the early adopters of this stuff. 10 years ago, it was introduced to me, and maybe I'm a little bit more fastidious about this than a lot of architects, but I have a building background and I own a fair bit of real estate that I personally have to maintain. And what I loved about this stuff is that it really worked. I can show you the drawer of shame to give you an idea how it compared to other exterior trim products I was considering. About 10 years ago, I was really interested in finding something, a substitute to redwood, because we used to use redwood for our trim. And as I say, call me a bit fastidious, but since I own these buildings and I've had to spend some of my weekends replacing rotten trim, especially around the base of my buildings, and I wanted to find something that I wouldn't be replacing again in 5 or 10 years. So I looked at some of these synthetic trim products and they didn't work very well. It expanded, it split when I nailed into the edge of it, it mushroomed, it didn't hold a very clean edge. And then you can imagine the poor guy from the factory that makes your product came to see me and said, I've got a synthetic exterior trim product I want you to try out. And I said, at this point I was sick of it. We had some terrible experiences with some of the other synthetic trim products over the years, going way back to the 1980s. But then along comes Moisture Shield, and I ripped it on the table saw. This is one of the first pieces, one of the first samples made. I ripped it on the table saw, held a very clean edge. The nail holes didn't mushroom, and it really held together well. You could nail into the edge of a piece. This is smaller than a 1x2, and it didn't split. I was really impressed. I told the guy, let me try it out for a little bit. And by the way, what we also do is measure it, the length, width, and depth of it, and then we soak it in a bathtub for 2 weeks. It didn't expand. Nothing happened to it. It worked fine. I was really amazed. So I used it on the very first house I built for myself, which was this one here. All of the trim is Moisture Shield, and that was built 10 and a half years ago. And here we are. It's my home. I still live in it. It looks great. It's headache free. I think that sums it up.